First question asks us about how we can bring about a culture shift which gets us to make decisions based on data. And I believe that you can do this by firstly bringing everyone in on the plan. Open cards is always the best scenario. Secondly, you need to lead by example, otherwise change is a very hard thing to bring about. Thirdly, you need to remain consistent as to why we are actioning what we are actioning and how we are changing it. Then we need to be able to show evidence. So this is what the data said, this is what we did, look how well it turned out, because that will go a long way to getting you buy-in from your employees. And my extra bonus point is that it has to come from the top. The manager that everyone can see, that's the manager that needs to take this and live this and exemplify this decision making. And then this will slowly gain traction in whichever institution or culture you're trying to get the change into. Second question asks us if big data can be a viable alternative for decision making rather than temporally discrete assessment. And as I understand it, temporally discrete assessment is very similar to a gut intuition or a feeling, something you know. You don't know why you know, but you know. And I would like to answer this question to say yes. Yes, big data can be a real-time replacement for temporally discrete assessment, provided we can get the wheels to turn a little bit faster. And I'd like to go into a quick analogy here about a large institution versus a smaller institution. A large institution can gather all this data rich, but how long does it take for that data to eventually see change? Where a smaller institution could gather smaller data and see change very, very quickly, but is it really contextual change? Is it good change because it's based on a very small pool? So it's not really big data, it's small data. So I'm going to say yes in theory. However, in practice, the people who obtain large data cannot implement quick changes, and the people who obtain small data can implement quick changes and sometimes misjudge the situation. So it's a bit complex. Seventh question asks me how my exposure in this module has built me up and developed me as an emerging scholar and a thought leader. I would like to point out that neither continuing development or thought leader, I don't think is ever, you don't reach it. You don't get to a point and go, yeah, I'm a thought leader. Yeah, I have fully developed. You are always striving, and it's kind of like the closer you get, the further away it moves, because you can pin so much more information onto it. So I think we are all always learning, and we are all always continually developing ourselves. We cascade our own learning. So I have incorporated a new skill set. I have learned new jargon. I've been exposed to an area that I was previously not exposed to. And I think this is something that one keeps on forever. I think if you're serious about your career in the world of education, this will never end. 8 asks why teachers often feel unheard and, I suppose, disrespected by policymakers when decisions are implemented into their classroom without consulting them. I have what I think is an alternative answer to this question. I do not think this should be changed. I believe that teachers are teachers and policymakers are policymakers, and they are both very, very good at their jobs. If a teacher were to think like a policymaker, then their individual students with their individual needs in their context of their class would often be overlooked for the greater good. Where if a policymaker thought like a teacher, every single year, every single term, we'd have new policies, a new way of doing things to work for the here and the now, and not necessarily focusing on the big picture. So I think each of them performs a fundamental role, and I do not think that they should meet in the middle, because I think you cannot be a good teacher and a good policymaker at the same time. Question 10 asks to send a shout out to people who've made the difference and to sprinkle liberally with context. So I have 2 shout outs. First of all, and I would be surprised if not everyone mentioned this, it would be Duan. I would like to refer to just one specific event that will illustrate this. We had a class, possibly 3 weeks ago, where Duan was sharing a screen and explaining the use of Excel. And as challenging as this module was, and as many new synapses as I have burnt in the last 2 months, I'm still not a fan. However, Duan's passion for Excel, and I do appreciate Excel, I'm a big fan of Excel, but his absolute passion burns through any courseware that I don't necessarily think is right up my alley. So I believe that educators like Duan could probably teach anything to anyone based entirely on passion and commitment, and that person would pull through. My second shout out is for my study buddy Celeste. We have become really close over the last 2 modules. Celeste is the absolute antithesis of a grade 1 teacher. She has the biggest pom-poms. She's always congratulating me. She's always high-fiving us. And I don't think she realizes how much of a motivation she really is in my life. So I would like to thank her because misery loves company. And Duan because I would learn stats any day if he were my lecturer.